What's up, YouTube? This is your girl, Megan. Welcome back to the Hood Astro Queen, to all of my returning subscribers. However, if this is your first time joining me on today, be sure to hit that subscribe button because you know you want to. Also, if you're interested in booking a natal chart reading of your own, contact astrowerld@gmail.com and we'll go ahead and get you squared away on today. So, today I'm coming to you guys yet again with another celebrity birth chart reading. This time on the one and only Kimberly Denise Jones, aka Lil Kim, aka Queen B, aka Michael Jackson 2.0. Okay, so this comes in light of the most recent controversy that has been in the headlines between Lil Kim and actress Notori Houghton, where Lil Kim has been vocally critical of Notori's portrayal, I guess you could say, of her back in the 2009 movie Notorious. I'm not really sure why this is coming to light once again, but nonetheless, people are talking about it, and it definitely prompted me to take a look at Lil Kim's chart, just to see what has been going on with her. And I kind of wanted to do just a comprehensive reading on her birth chart. So let's go ahead and get started. So Lil Kim was born on July the 11th, 1974 in Brooklyn, New York. And right away, the number 11 is a very challenging number, as it can denote a lot of conflict, a lot of challenges, a life that's filled with a lot of struggle. And that's because 11 is a master number. It's a very spiritual number in nature. So right away, that kind of sets her up for kind of a difficult existence. And this is also reinforced with her sun being at the 18th degree of Cancer. The number 18 is also a very difficult number to have natally, as it can deal with materialism, and with the sun representing a woman's father as well as the men in her life or her husband. This could represent a woman who encounters very controlling men, men who are very, even like who are glutton for punishment, men who punish her in some type of way, or men who make her feel bad about herself. Now, although just based off of what I know, I think she had a pretty close relationship with her dad. But this theme of her dealing with men in a romantic sense that kind of affects her in a detrimental way, it is actually reoccurring in her chart, and we'll get to that in a minute. Nonetheless, the number 18 also breaks down to 9, and that can deal with her being involved with men who are even violent, which everyone, literally almost everyone in Hollywood has known or spoken about Lil Kim's very volatile relationship with Biggie. So, you know, there's that. Also, Cancer women are the bottom bitches of the zodiac, in the sense that they do take a lot of abuse from their men. They take a lot of, emotional, physical, verbal abuse. And a lot of it stems from this desire to want to mother their partners or nurture their partners. It could also stem from an inability to completely separate themselves or detach themselves from the people that they love, you know. So this absolutely extends to partners, lovers, boyfriends, husbands. It's very, very difficult for Cancer women to let go. Okay. And therefore, if you don't let go, you're going to get dragged. Okay. And these women, dark side Cancer women, can get drugged through the mud. And I would say that that's a very adequate description of Lil Kim per her relationship with Biggie. So also, Cancer is the sign of family, but furthermore, it can denote a person who views their friends as family, especially with her Mercury at that 4th degree of Cancer. So I actually wouldn't even be surprised if she had some type of gang affiliation, or because I was watching something a long time ago and they were talking about how she was the girl in the neighborhood that was cool with all the dope boys, all the gang members, and that's very fitting, and they were talking about how popular she was. And that's her Mars at the 20th degree of Leo. You can look at that as her popularity as well. But, just even her really connecting with people in a way that, like, she views everyone as family. The people that she loves, she views them as family. And, so that's kind of interesting. She definitely has that Cancer stellium with her Sun, Mercury, and Saturn all in Cancer. Her Mercury conjoined to her Saturn in Cancer can absolutely produce a person who takes things very, very, very personally. They lack the ability to rationalize and be objective. And so every time they respond to situations, it's always in the sense of how they're feeling. Okay, and this can make them very biased, very subjective, and very much prone towards taking things out of proportion. Mercury in Cancer alone can be rather irrational and have very irrational fears. And so these people can lack a certain level of just they don't make sense at times. And it just is what it is. You could tell Lil' Kim takes a lot of things personally, just looking at how she responds to certain people and certain things, just, within the industry over the years, in my opinion. Also, this aspect is one of the main or major key aspects of her chart that points towards her definitely having issues with her skin. Okay, Saturn in Cancer can produce a person who has biases or very karmic problems with their own race, towards their own race. Saturn as a planet governs the skin. Okay, so conjoined to her Mercury, you can even look at this as her kind of just having a certain level of disdain for her own, and even especially with her Mercury being retrograde, her internalizing this sense of self-deprecation due to her skin color kind of thing. And this is further reinforced with her Mercury, her Saturn and Mercury squaring Pluto. Her Pluto is at the 4th degree of Libra. I wouldn't even be surprised if she was actively doing something to erase and lighten the color of her skin, which is kind of apparent. You don't need astrology to tell you that, but some people, I guess don't know. But these aspects can absolutely point towards her actively lightening her skin, but it could also deal with her doing it to either kind of keep up with other people or keep up with other women, or because she's comparing herself to other women. Or it could be the result of her feeling like she's kind of had to do that based off of her relationships, or to get attention from the opposite sex, if that makes sense. Also, Saturn in Cancer produces a deep, dark truth that is very hard to face. A person having a truth that can actually prevent them from loving themselves the way that they're really supposed to. And with her being a Sagittarius North Node, and this time she's supposed to be seeking truth. Okay, she's supposed to be seeking to make herself whole. And with this getup, I would not be surprised if it's her skin, if it's her features that make her feel a certain way. And a lot of this could stem from childhood and the way that she grew up, and the things that have happened to her that have been very, very traumatic. With Saturn in Cancer, there is a karmic duty to love yourself first and foremost, because you can't really love other people unless you really love yourself. Lil' Kim has a very difficult time loving herself, which once again, I'm pretty sure you didn't really need astrology to tell you that per se, but it's definitely kind of more or less a confirmation. And with her Saturn at the 9th degree, you could even look at that square that it's making to her Pluto as her getting work done on her face. Her having work done, like surgical procedures to her face. Pluto deals with surgery. So, there's that. You could also even look at this square as her being in some type of trouble with the law. And she actually did go to jail for a while, for a few years back in like 2006 or something like that, due to her not, I think she didn't snitch on some guys that she knew that were doing something wrong. And she got, like I said, maybe 2 or 3 years, but taking it back to that Cancer element to where a person is very much, they view people that they care about like family. But I mean, also you can even look at like her just being the type of person to be super loyal as her Mars in Leo once again, but definitely that Cancer energy. And I would even look at it, with that Saturn and Cancer, like that, those affiliations that she's had with certain people in her community, certain friends, they could have even been childhood friends, but getting her in a situation to where she's jammed up and, I mean, she's going to jail. Also, you can even look at that as her having legal issues with her home. Saturn and Cancer can produce issues with home ownership all day long. And, with negative aspects to Pluto in Libra, this could definitely be by way of like liens, taxes, not paying your taxes, having your shit taken back by the government. I mean, it could be like a variety of different issues to where like there are legal problems that interfere with your ability to own a home. And I think that was like Lil' Kim was in the news a few years ago for something about a house. Y'all drop down in the comment section. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to tell me. I can't really remember, but that's what this could play out as. This could also produce break-ins, a lot of home break-ins, violent situations that take place in the home with that number 9, dealing with violence, or just even Saturn and Cancer in general, but then also with her moon in Aries. And if I'm not mistaken, there was this case where she rented out a Airbnb for some award weekend, and the guy who owned the Airbnb said that he didn't get his money, and when he went to go request his money, that Lil' Kim had some guys rob him or beat him up or hold him at gunpoint or something crazy like that. Very consistent with this placement here, with that Saturn at the 9th degree of Cancer, but also her moon in Aries. And then when you add the square to that Pluto in Libra, it could even deal with like her going to court because of that. Also, with her being an Aries moon, this absolutely deals with her having a very combative relationship with her mother, which, interestingly enough, with her Saturn in Cancer, that can kind of echo that placement as well, in the sense that a lot of natives with this placement tend to have very emotionally cold relationships with their mother, but with Saturn representing delay, there could be an improvement in the relationship that they have with their mom as they get older. These people tend to view their fathers as the more nurturing figures in their lives. Also, with Lil' Kim being an Aries moon, now we don't know exactly what degree her moon is in, but based off of the calculations I have here, it could be squaring her Saturn, which, like I said, it speaks to a lot of the manifestations that I just named, but it could also produce infertility, or issues with fertility, should I say. And I mean, even though she has a daughter now, a young daughter, it did take her a while to get pregnant. I wouldn't be surprised if she had issues conceiving. There could have also been issues breastfeeding with this placement as well, with Saturn dealing with the breast and even the stomach and the womb. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she had some type of fertility issues. Her sun is squaring her Uranus at the 23rd degree of Libra, which further does reinforce her being this kind of legal scapegoat. Like I said, taking it back to the whole thing where she got hemmed up in court and had to do that time by way of her associations. But also you can reinforce, or this could reinforce her having issues like money issues with her home. Once again, y'all let me know the details about that, because I'm not quite sure. Also, her sun is squaring her Chiron, which is at the 24th degree of Aries, further reinforcing her engaging in a lot of very dysfunctional relationships with men and abusive relationships with men, i.e. Biggie Smalls. But then also, you know, with Aries representing weaponry, I mean, you can even look at this as men literally like using weapons on her, like quite literally, which is very consistent with Jermaine Dupri's story that he told on Drinking Champs, where he recalled the time where he was recording an album or a record, I guess, in the studio with Biggie Smalls and Lil' Kim, and I guess Lil' Kim wasn't saying her verse right, so Biggie resorted to his good old fashioned Ike Turner book of tricks, and he grabbed a gun and basically like pulled it on her and was like, yeah, bitch, you know, I guess you better say this verse right, or I don't know, maybe they were arguing. Point is, the man pulled a gun on her, and I'm just like, very interesting. So there's that. Her Venus is at the 18th degree of Gemini, and it's conjoined to her South Node. Also, I'm remembering from when I did Biggie's chart, his sun is actually conjoined to Lil' Kim's South Node. And once again, that Sun South Node dynamic is just, it's disastrous from a synastry perspective. But it did give them a very fated relationship, a very karmic relationship, to where, you know, they were supposed to meet in this lifetime. They were destined to meet in this lifetime, but more so to show Lil' Kim what she should not accept or what she should try to get away from, because he essentially brought out the worst in her in a lot of ways. Now, Venus in Gemini tends to have a type of relationship where it's very casual, and these people can even be like best friends, and they could also have very difficult times separating themselves from lovers. So if they can't have their person or their partner in a romantic way, they will settle for being their friend and continue to have like a friendship, quote unquote, level or a friendship relationship with them moving forward. And Gemini Venus people are very, very indiscriminate when it comes to like hot and heavy attachment. So, you know, these could be friends that do engage in sex as well, especially with her Mars and Leo. Lil' Kim is a very, very sexual person. So I said that to say that she and Biggie could have absolutely have been friends with benefits, but also with her Venus in Gemini, I wouldn't be surprised, especially conjoined to her South Node, if he actually sent her a lot of mixed signals, to where like 1 minute he was making her believe like she could have been something more to him, and then the next not so much, where he's kind of just stringing her along for the ride. And with her Venus squaring her Jupiter at the 17th degree of Pisces, you can absolutely tell. And actually that Jupiter is making an exact square to her North Node, so you can tell in her South Node, so you can tell it did a number on her mind. That relationship did a very big number on her mind. she was very gullible. I mean, you can look at that as her Jupiter squaring her nose as her being very gullible. And just him, even I wouldn't even be surprised if like he brainwashed her in a way, or made her feel, I'm not going to say made her feel bad about herself, but I would say brainwash her. I would say that relationship had a very detrimental effect on her mental health. Put it like that. Her being victimized in the relationship. But you could also even look at that as him doing everything for her, including writing. So he definitely, I don't know if this has been confirmed or not, but I could definitely see him writing for her and doing things of that nature. So, and in general, with this getup, Lil' Kim has very karmic and just difficult relationships with men in general. And a lot of this stems from a feeling of like needing to connect with someone. Okay. However, with her Sagittarius North Node, not only does she have a karmic responsibility, as I stated earlier, to be whole on her own, but she has to be more discriminative about who she allows in her life. And this isn't just romantic relationships, but this is also interpersonal relationships, friendships, and all of that, you know. So yeah. Her Mars at the 20th degree of Leo absolutely points towards her being in the entertainment industry, dating men in the entertainment industry, but it could also make her a bit self-centered, a lot self-centered. Like, Lil' Kim definitely comes off as the type who is very much in love with herself, but in like a very superficial way, not in the way where it really counts, like to where you don't feel the need to do all of this butchering of your body, but in the sense that you could tell she really likes to sniff her own farts, right? These people can be very just egocentric and even kind of like snobby in a way, very snobby, very elitist, and very kind of, just out of touch with other people, and very, like I said, have this very superficial kind of air to them. And that is further reinforced with her Venus and Sun at that 18th degree. But it can also, as I stated earlier, make her someone who's very loyal. It could even make her a bit of an exhibitionist with a very, very strong sexual appetite. And, with her Venus sextiling her Mars, this absolutely points towards her being like this kind of fashion icon who pushes the envelope as far as like her sexuality. Because I don't know if y'all remember, back in the day, like, she was known for working with a lot of these celebrity designers, famous Hollywood designers. And she kind of became like this fashion icon or even sex symbol, her Mars forming a sextile to her Uranus. You can even look at that aspect as, I always call that the quintessential sex symbol aspect. But, you could even look at that as her being this new age sex symbol, or like this progressive trendsetter of sorts, or her sexuality being put on, I don't want to say put on display, but her definitely leading the charge in the way that she presented her sexuality, which I feel like a lot of people could definitely give her credit for. Her Saturn is forming a quincunx to her Neptune, which is at the 7th degree of Sagittarius. And I mean, to be quite honest, it deals with her being delusional. Her Mercury is forming a quincunx to her Neptune as well. Her not really making any sense. Her even being a liar. And when I say delusional, I even mean specifically as it pertains to her skin color. She might even feel like in her head that she is what she portrays to be. Thinking that she's somebody that she's not, where she lives in an alternate reality. Okay, she's not, she's delusional. And I wouldn't trust a word that comes out of her mouth, to be honest. And with her sun forming a quincunx to her north node, as I stated earlier, in order for her to really have a true sense of self and really find that sense of wholeness, she has to let go of the past, and she has to get over this. She has to get in touch with reality, and she has to get over this hang up that she has with herself and her skin color. And yeah, it's you could even look at this with men. She has to heal a lot of this trauma that she's had with men earlier in her life. So sis gotta, it's a whole lot of. Nonetheless, her Venus is forming a sextile to her Chiron, once again reinforcing her being this bold and daring fashion icon. Her being very unapologetic in her sexuality, but also, like I said, being a leader in the way that she dresses, being very bold, having a very in-your-face kind of style, and being very unapologetic about it. Her sun is trining her Jupiter, which definitely gives her very creative and artistic capabilities. Her Mars trining her Sagittarius North Node deals with her being this kind of international superstar of sorts. So in a way, she kind of does have the right to have such a huge ego and kind of elevate herself and really step into the role as being like this queen. Her calling herself the queen bee. That's very much Mars. And actually Mars deals with your name. So her calling herself the queen bee, her view on herself as royalty. She kind of has a right to do so in this lifetime. So yeah, I didn't want to make this video too long, but yeah, all in all, that is the phenomenon that we know as Lil' Kim. All right. So y'all drop down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of, or what do you think of Lil' Kim? What did you think of this whole debacle between she and Notori? And as always, make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And until the next video, I holla.